We are ready.
I don't think I answered.
Okay, everybody ready?
Yeah, it's crazy, nice.
Read my little notes here. It's 9:05 almost. We'll start this meeting and welcome everybody who's on here for the closed session, etc. And is there any additions to the agenda? Anybody? None?
There are no additions.
Okay, County Council, would you read in the closed session items, please?
Yes, happy to do so, Chair. On your closed session for today is under Government Code Section 54957.6. You have conference with your labor negotiators. Your designated representatives are Deputy CAO Joel Boguet and Michelle May and Susan Carter. The employer organization is all units. There's also an existing litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1. You have a conference with your legal counsel, and the name of the case is Harris versus Madera County, and the Madera County Superior case number is listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Any questions from the public on the closed session items? Seeing none. See you in the back room. And then some. Get it away from them. It's unbelievable. So they've been putting sprinklers around some of the big ones, so that helps a lot.
We are ready.
We're ready? Oh, good. Well, welcome everybody. It's 10. Oh, that's not bad. 10:05. We did good. And first of all, have we got any comments from the closed session today, Counselor?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from your closed session.
Thank you. Okay, I got to get down here where my other notes are. I take too many notes. Okay, we're going to open and close this meeting in memory of two people I have, are Deputy Sergeant Carl Hancock, workforce from 1996 to 2011, who passed away, and then Corporal Mike Thor, worked from 1986 to 2004. And Mike was he did a lot up in the mountains, so I got to know him pretty good there. And our great sheriff, Tyson Pogue, is at their funeral, so we will miss him, and God bless the family of those two officers who gave a lot of their life to Madera County. Any other board members got anything? None? Okay. First, no, we got an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Pastor Mike Farmer from the 4th Street Church of God, and Bobby McCauley, you do the flag salute. Chief of Staff.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be in this place today. We thank you for your provision, for your blessing of allowing us to live in such a place as such a time as this. And Lord, today I ask for your presence to be with this board as they consider the business of our county. Grant them the wisdom, the guidance that they need. May their decisions, all their conversation, bring glory and honor to you, our Lord and our King, in whom we trust. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Mike and Bobby, very much. Appreciate it. The public comment. Karen, want to read that in?
The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take any action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Good.
Good morning, Board. Good morning, members of the community. My name is Hector Madrigal. I'm the CHP commander here for Madera CHP. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to recognize two of our outstanding officers in Madera that are continuing to serve the public and keeping everyone safe. Today, I'll recognize them for two specific acts in which I'll read. That way, we have the full picture. On April 19th, both of these incidents occurred on April 9th. On April 9th, 2002, at approximately 12:30 hours, Javier Rubalcaba, Officer Rubalcaba, please stand up.
Hey, we're on the agenda,
Okay.
so we got, and we
Oh,
got
okay,
things
I was-
going too. So, yeah, it's on 6A and 6B or 6B and? 6B and 6C. Yeah, so we got you covered, buddy. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Wheeler, members of the board, Cindy Avila, Animal Shelter. I just want to thank you all for your support, your continued support, and I want to give you a little update on the shelter. Last week, we spayed 7 feral cats and have 12 scheduled for this week, thanks to the spay-neuter program you guys approved. We're having a 3-day adoption event, July 22nd to the 24th. Best Friends Animal Society is giving us $100 for every dog we adopt and $50 for every cat we adopt. So we'll be able to lower the adoption fee to $25 for this event. We're having a super adoption event August 26th and 27th, which is a nationwide event sponsored by Science Diet and Zoitis, and NBC Universal will be providing free advertising for the event. Last week, right after the 4th of July holiday, we got up to 130 dogs in the shelter, which normal capacity is 50, capacity for care. As you know, we've been averaging 80 to 90 over the last several months, but that really took a spike after the 4th of July. This morning, we are back down to 89 dogs and 58 cats. Our team pulled together, and we got some dogs adopted, dogs and cats. Some were reunited with their owners, some went into foster, and we did get a few to rescue. FMAS was a big help in getting animals out to rescue and foster. They stepped up and really helped us out. We're still in crisis mode and asking the community to help us out, if they can, by volunteering, fostering, or at least holding an animal for a few days and make an effort to locate the owners. Fresno Humane has posted on their Facebook page that they are in crisis mode. They have 2 brand new shelters and they are totally full.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nationwide. It is a nationwide crisis, and I just want to ask everybody for a little patience and understanding because we're doing the best we can in a really terrible situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, for all your hard work. I know you've really made that place really special. And it's one of our goals that I wanted before I retire in January is try to get something working on it so we can get you a new building. That's one of my really last goals that I have, so.
All right, thank you for
The staff
that.
knows it, so. And the board knows it, so, because they're all for it too. I think Brett, you or Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Dave, I'm sorry.
You got kind of a perfect storm here of 4th of July. It seems like animals go crazy with all the fireworks, and then, of course, the economy's gone south, and people can't afford to feed their animals, so they're abandoning them. When we adopt out, do we have some kind of a thing that we tell them about, approximate cost of food per week and something like that, so that people are aware that they're taking on a responsibility of another family member here?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I'm afraid that's what happens out in the real world out there when people go to pet shops, they buy an animal and they can't afford to feed it. And they don't realize it's expensive to keep an animal.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we do adoption counseling with every pet we adopt out.
Good.
And we also have, we get donations from the public. We don't solicit, but we do get people that donate dog food and cat food. And that food we keep aside for people coming for help so that we have something available
good.
to help them out.
Yeah, it's preferable that they keep the animal than we take
Absolutely.
it.
So whatever it takes to, we try and give them the resources and that enables them to keep their animals.
Super. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
Glad you're thinking ahead.
Good.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared with Public Works. Just want to give a quick report out on our hazardous household hazardous waste event we had on the 25th of June up in Oakhurst. Another very successful event. We had approximately 330 customers or residents who came through the event. Everybody was turned around and out of there in a matter of about 10 minutes average. And we collected about 40 yards of e-waste, and we still haven't got the totals on the other stuff that was collected, but it was a significant amount of materials that were collected. And we were also able to hand out free oil funnels and pans for folks to use in their DIY oil changes. So overall, it was a great event. Appreciate Red Rock and everybody at Madco and everybody participating, helping us with that event. So looking forward to next year.
A lot of people tell me they were so happy, so there's some of the stuff.
Jared, do we disseminate information about the fact that most of your car care, like parts houses, take used oil?
Yeah, so we have a used oil program that we share information. We actually have radio advertisements and things that go out. That's one of the programs that we do actually get funding from the state. So we're hoping to up those outreach efforts as we go along. But yeah, we do have information that we put out, and I think there's also available on our website as well.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because oil dumped in the gutter or on the ground ends up in the water table. So that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Next. Is this on one of the items, Madeline, or? Okay.
This is a general public comment. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Madeline Harris from Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, and I'm here with Ms. Barbara Nelson from Fairmead Community and Friends and Rosina Bueno from La Viña. We wanted to remind you all about the community's ARPA priorities. We had a productive meeting with county staff on May 31st. That was part of the outreach process on the $5 million set aside for disadvantaged and incorporated communities. And at that meeting, Rosina and Ms. Barbara raised some of the priorities and needs in their communities, which were folks in Fairmead have been asking for years for speed reduction infrastructure and safety infrastructure for pedestrians in front of Fairmead Elementary School, for street lighting throughout the community. Folks in La Viña have been asking the county to implement their La Viña mobility study for years and also get street lighting. Both communities expressed a need for broadband internet, amongst a whole other variety of priorities. So I will pass it off to the two of you to see if you have anything to add.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Nelson. Nice to see some of you I haven't seen in a while. But yes, our concern, we've always had this concern in front of Fairmead School, the cars never stop. And we've been asking for, if we just could get a speed bump or flashing yellow light. I would hate for someone to get hurt before something is done. Sorry.
Where was that? What was the location on that?
In front of Fairmead School. Continue for years. And we've always said we need a speed bump or a flashing yellow or something to slow that traffic down. I would hate for some of the kids to get hurt or even an accident or someone get killed. We really desperately need that. We definitely need sidewalks, as we've been saying for years, and lighting. So these are things that we need in our community, just a few. So we hope that you would consider us this time in measuring this. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hola, my name is Rosina Bueno, Madera. Voy a leer ya.
Pues vamos a tener la audiencia sobre la medida T después.
Oh, no, ahorita no voy a. Okay, sorry.
We'll have a comment on measure 2 later.
Okay. Any other? We got one on WebEx, Leanne. Can you hear us, Leanne?
thought I heard something, but sounds like something
Popped
faint.
up there, there it is.
Leanne, are you able to hear us?
I think she's trying to speak, but I don't hear her much.
I heard something, like music. Sarah comes to the rescue. Okay, while we're trying to get her hooked up, I just had a couple things I wanted to talk about. Last Saturday, Galen Lee, who was a very, very, very good friend of mine, was murdered a couple years ago, and he was one of the Mono tribe's great leaders and archaeologists. And so they built the Mono tribe built a new Mono Heritage Center for their environmental and cultural stuff, and they called it Galen Lee Heritage Center. And so many people spoke that day. Beautiful building, had a lot of old pictures here. So, and I also have a bunch of, I got a couple baskets, a rattle and a drum and stuff he's made and given me either for Christmas or birthdays and stuff. And so I announced I'm going to donate that to that center so they can put it there and show some of the work he done. But it was nice having the memorial almost for him, but he's so missed, I tell you, I can't tell you. And then the 4th, we had our, it's actually on the 3rd, 2nd and 3rd, we had our 62nd Loggers Jamboree. And the picture here is before it started, and it was Nate Hodges who won again this year. And I just want to thank Karen. She brought her dad, Max Rodriguez. Most of you probably know Max. He spent 16 years on this board. I knew him when I first went over to work at the sawmill in 1960. I met him and his brother. And actually, his brother kind of saved my life the first day I was pulling lumber because I didn't know what I was doing. And I worked for about an hour and I was about to die. So he came over there and showed me how to do it the easy way. But Max came up to it for the first time. He worked at the sawmill for 22, 24 years. Him and his brother drove up from Madera every day to work at the sawmill, but he never felt like he wanted to come up on a Sunday and watch the Jamboree. So this is his first one, and he got there before it started, and Karen couldn't get him away until it was finished. He wanted to see every bit of it, and I had to leave about 3, but I've been to every single Loggers Jamboree, me and Herb Punkin, who just turned 92 on the 4th, and but most everybody else has passed since that's happened. And while I was there, the historical group in North Fork had a bunch of old pictures, and I bought a couple of them. They got them for sale, and that's how they do their money raising. But this is the log deck in North Fork, and it's the last day that they operated, and they shut down. And 1994, we lost over 300 employees when it shut down. Our school lost a third of their kids and our teachers, lost a drugstore, a bank, grocery stores, 3 or 4 bars we lost. Still got the Buckhorn, but we lost a lot of employment and jobs there. And mainly, what I wanted to talk about is that, like the big fires going up there right now, Yosemite decided to finally do some cleanup in their forests up in Yosemite. And they started a couple months ago, and this worthless Chad Hansen, who's the head of the biodiversity group, and he thinks he's God almost when it comes to logging and stuff, that he don't know nothing, even though he's got a PhD. And he sued them to stop that work doing up there. And guess where the fire is burning? Right where they're doing the work. He don't believe in getting out dead trees, snags. He likes snag forests and everything like that. So he's just worthless. So anyway, he sued, and the judge ruled just last week on the 7th that they can't do no more work until they have a hearing in August. It's unbelievable. Like our creek fire 2 years ago, places where we had logged before the mill shut down actually have more live trees around. In places he sued us to stop cleanup, they burnt, it's as bare as this top of this right up there. There's no trees, there's no brush, there's nothing even 2 years later. Anyway, and then the other thing I forgot to announce, we're going to break at 12 to 1:30 for a private lunch on the third floor and the presentation room upstairs. So we'll be gone from 12 to 1:30. I just want everybody to know that. Have we got Leanne on now? I took a bunch of pictures of Galen's thing that day of different speakers, different bunch of the tribal members, and the building itself. So if you want to get on my Facebook page, I put it on 16 sites, I think, up there in the mountains. But I also has, you live in Madera County, so I think people down here have that too. Working?
Not yet.
I'll tell you what, we're going to go on to the consent calendar, and what we'll do, as soon as they get it going, I'll interrupt the meeting and let her speak. Is that okay with everybody, board members?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to ask our council if that's,
Chair, under a non-COVID AB 361 era, that would be fine, but because the board has continued to use AB 361 with the flexibility, the law says that people have to be able to participate in the meeting, otherwise the supervisors can't take any action. So your comments were fine because they weren't action, but my concern would be having a vote on the consent prior. You could maybe do the proclamations,
Oh, you
Chair.
can't-
I might
she's
suggest.
got comments on the consent calendar because it's under public comment.
Say that one more time, I missed that,
You
Chair.
think it's on,
It's public comment,
it's
not
just
on
public
the
comment, it's
consent
not on the
calendar.
consent calendar.
Right, well, what I was saying
we
is
can't make any decisions until.
the internet is fixed.
Yeah.
Is it on our end or on her end?
Can you ask her to call in and use your telephone and put it by her speaker? Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can also do the proclamations and come back to the consent, it's just, and go back to public comment, just no action unless.
We're going to go to the 6A. We'll jump to that.
6A, presentation of a proclamation proclaiming July 12, 2022 as the day of recognition for the office of Public Guardian, Public Administrator of Madera County.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, county staff. Steve Duckworth, Social Services Deputy Director, accompanied by Chief Deputy Public Guardian Martel Timbichin and Deputy Public Guardian Blanca Valdez. We're here today to recognize staff of the Public Guardian's Office and to inform the public of what it is, briefly, that they do. The Public Guardian's Office strives to protect and care for vulnerable individuals in our community. They do this through legal processes, including handling the estates of persons who die without a will and don't have another person act as their administrator, and by administering probate guardianships and conservatorships for individuals who are unable to meet their own basic needs, and by providing LPS conservatorships for those with severe mental illnesses and unable to meet their basic needs. The office also provides pay services for individuals receiving Social Security benefits and who are unable to use those benefits to meet their basic needs. Currently, the office serves nearly 250 individuals, which includes 60 probate conservatorships or guardianships, 65 LPS conservatorships, and 115 representative payees. So in conclusion, we honor the service of our 5 public guardian staff, including Mardell, who's been with our department for 12 years, and Blanca, who's been with us for 8. And today we're happy to report that we added 2 additional deputy county council staff. One started yesterday and one last month. And those include, their names are Doreen House and, I'm going to try to say this right, Sharon Kamal Sharam, also known as CK.
Got that.
She started yesterday with us, and they're going to relieve the pressure and the workload for our current incumbent county council, deputy county council, Christopher Dorian, who works with us and representing us in court and family court on the child welfare side and wears many hats, does so much more for us. So today we appreciate your time in recognizing our Public Guardian Office staff and services. And though they're a small team, only 5 people, the services they provide to the community are crucial to the individuals receiving them. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Oh, any questions? Any public comment? Any questions?
I just wanted to say a quick thing. You know, as a parent, or as a son of an aging parent, I look at that and I see all the work involved in that. It's a huge task. And it's such a dignified thing to have someone helping you through those parts of your life that you can't help yourself. And there's a lot of people in a situation with dementia and Alzheimer's that it's a sad disease because they're still there, but they're not there. And I just want to thank you for what you do, because for me now more than ever, it means a lot. Thank you.
We appreciate those comments,
Okay, we
Supervisor.
got a thing for you. We'll get some pictures, if you don't mind. We get her yet? Hector, come on up, buddy.
Sir, thank you.
So you knew it was going to be during public comment portion.
Something told me, yes. Well, thank you once again. Good morning, members of the board, members of the community. We'd like to recognize 2 officers who did an outstanding job in providing service and safety to the community. And I'll read the commendation that they're receiving from me today, and I know they're being recognized by the board today, so thank you for that. So Officer Javier Rubalcaba, please stand. On April 9th, 2022, at approximately 12:30 hours, you were representing the department at the Easter egg hunt festival here in the Town and Country Park, where suddenly your attention was drawn and diverted to a yelling mother in distress. You ran towards the mother and the child and noticed that the child was in distress, was not breathing, and was turning blue. You immediately took charge of the situation and initiated medical aid. You began to perform back blows, which did not work, and then quickly began performing abdominal thrusts. After 3 attempts and also 3 minutes, the child dislodged a candy that was stuck in his throat and his airway. Wow. Your actions were critical in dislodging the candy from the child's airway, therefore saving his life. You are commended for swiftly jumping into action and relying on your first aid and CPR training to save a life. The department and the child's family are grateful for your actions in this life-saving event. So thank you. Thank you, Javier. Quick
Hector,
photo.
as soon as we get done with him, we'll take pictures. We want to do, was it Jose?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll do you next, Jose, and we'll get them all together. We'll get them all together up front here.
Okay. Second officer being recognized today is Officer Jose Herrera. Please stand, Jose. On this same day of April 9th, different times, different locations, different responsibilities.
One of those days.
Yes, one of those days. You were on routine patrol in the Madera area when you responded to a wrong-way driver on Highway 99. As you arrived on scene and you initiated a traffic break to stop traffic behind you to protect them from being crashed into. As the wrong-way driver vehicle was coming directly towards you, it was evident that he was not going to stop. Fearing for the subject's vehicle that was going to crash head-on with you and other civilian motorists, you courageously placed your personal safety at risk in order to prevent injury and death to other motorists. Without hesitation, you took the opportunity to utilize legal intervention and rammed the left front of the wrong-way vehicle. The ram stopped the wrong-way vehicle and it became disabled in the center median away from traffic. You suffered a cut to your hand as you attempted to break open the window as you were stuck inside the vehicle. Once you exited, putting your medical needs aside, you helped the wrong-way driver who suffered moderate injuries. You are commended for your act of heroism at the risk of your own personal safety, which undoubtedly saved the wrong-way driver's life and also the lives of countless civilian motorists. So thank you, Jose, for that.
Okay, now, do you want to read those off, or we got the ours too?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, they say almost the same thing, so we're going to come up and have a picture with all of you, and we'll give you those too.
You're going to have a special room for all these proclamations you keep getting for acts of heroism.
How's that?
One, two.
Leanne, can you hear us? Leanne, can you unmute and speak, please? Leanne, you can hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, just one moment. We'll call for public comment.
Heartwarming. You know, I think if we wrote a book on the things they do every day, there'd be a lot more people who appreciate what our officers do for us every day. It'd be incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Thank
Okay,
you.
we've got Leanne. Is it on the
Go ahead,
phone or
Leanne.
is it online?
Hi, Helen. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Perfect. So my name's Leanne Park, and I'm speaking on behalf of Guadalupe Nunez. She's a Lavina resident. And she says, in Lavina, we have been asking for years for our roads to be fixed, and we see that this still hasn't happened. We have a lot of needs that haven't been supported by this board, such as street lighting, internet, road repairs, sidewalks, and many more. For example, my kid's internet has been cutting out during school. When my son was taking tests at home during the pandemic, his internet would cut out, and in order for him to get his schoolwork done, we would have to drive to Madera. We have been battling this for quite some time, and we need the board to invest in broadband internet, as well as the other needs in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leanne, very much. Thanks for being patient. Got it. So is there any more public comment now? No more? Okay. Now then, we'll go to the consent calendar, and whoever makes the motion, we want to pull 5D, like in dog. And first of all, is there any questions from the board members?
Is that to come back another time, or is
Yeah,
that?
come back another time, yeah.
Okay.
Connie is online to give us.
Good morning.
Connie.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Good morning, Supervisor Wheeler and members of the board. Yes, we have processed this item, so we do need to pull it. We apologize for the inconvenience.
And you'll bring it back later?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
5D.
5B. Thank you, Connie.
D is in dog.
Any other comments from the board?
Not taking our 5B.
Huh?
You're not taking 5B off from the assessor's office, just 5D.
No. Any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none.
I move to approve with
Pulling 5 dogs.
pulling 5D.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Thank you,
Chairman
Phil.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, now we're going to jump to 6.
D.
No, Mr.
I lost
Chairman,
my sixes
at the request of the department, this item was pulled.
on 5D, 6D, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll pull 6D. So 6E.
6C, presentation of a certificate recognizing the Madera County Historical Society for repairing the clock tower on top of the historical courthouse.
Whoopee, whoopee.
Right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. This is definitely a momentous occasion, and this is in regards to the clock that's on top of the old courthouse, the Historical Society. And this clock has been right twice a day for the last 50 years. I don't know. I'm not quite sure
We
when it quit
understand what that means.
But unfortunately, we'd like to have it more right, and the Historical Society took it upon themselves to locate funds to repair the clock. And so it's a great thing. When people think about clocks on courthouses, immediately people think back to the Future and the professor and everybody rolling down that wire. But this is a little bit different, but probably a very similar era. We have a team. They were able to locate a team of individuals from the Midwest, 3 individuals, and they requested that it be in a time of very pleasant weather, and they were assured that the second week of July in Madera is a very pleasant weather. So they showed up, and they're here. And not only were we able to, or the Historical Society was able to get this team to fix the clock, but we have a unbelievable amount of support from our community in terms of supporting these individuals as they are here repairing the clock. We have hotels that are providing lodging for the clock repair folks, and we have a ton of restaurants that are providing food, as well as those who are donating money for their services in food and lodging and so forth. So what I'd like to do is ask the team from the Madera Historical Society to say a few words about what's going on, and then we have some presentations we'd like to make. So Cheryl, come on up. Cheryl Berry, a outstanding member of our community, the bedrock, the cornerstone of the Madera Historical Society, and I could go on and on, but
she'd probably slug me if I did, so go ahead.
Maybe she wants to say it instead of you. Good morning.
Well, I just want to thank the board for always being in the county departments for supporting the museum and being there for our emergencies at all times of the day and night, and for the community and all the support we have gained from this project. If you look over there, there's a big hole where the clocks used to be. So if you hadn't noticed today, it looks different already. But we just want to thank everybody and all the individuals and all the restaurants that had donated are all locally owned private businesses. So we want to reach out to them and thank them a lot for all their support too. Thank you.
It's such a gym that we have here. We got to keep everything going there, I tell you.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So I have a few certificates, and as I call your name, I'd like to have you come to the front. First of all, Caglia Environmental, I didn't see any, is there anybody here from Caglia Environmental representing that company? Well, that's okay, we'll make that presentation later on. We would like to recognize the Madera Hotel Group. We have Todd Phillips. I don't see Dr. Singh, but he has his crew and very great bunch of people. So go ahead and come on up. We thank you for your great contributions in providing that lodging. So in the course, we have the Madera Historical Society. We'll be presenting that certificate. We have Pistoresi Ambulance, and of course, everybody knows Monty, what a great support in the community. So Monty, go ahead and come on up. He's one of the greatest.
What's his last name?
It's Pistoresi, I think.
Oh, that one.
Yes, that one. Yeah, exactly. Not the other Monty, but yeah. Monty Pistoresi, and he's one of the greatest fans of the Board of Supervisors. He watches our meetings every week remotely, so thank you for doing that. And he always makes comments about what we could do better. No, he's very much a supporter. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce Matt Salcida. Matt, come on up. Matt is representing the Madera Police Officers Association, and we all know that the Madera police officers are one of the finest units in the entire state of California, if not the nation, and so we're very proud of their efforts and all that they do. And the luncheon today is actually being sponsored by the MPOA, so thank you very much, Matt, for your efforts. And I like to point out that Matt's father is a alumni of Madera High School of the illustrious class of 1974. So I just like to
1974 when you were graduated?
Oh, it's the same year I graduated.
I know,
That's
that's what I
amazing. That's incredible. So, and many years supported the soccer community. So done a great job. So I'd also just like to mention other donors not present. We've got the Chico's, Sal's, the Vineyard, Togo's, Fastway Chicken, Barbecue Rob's, not mine, Sugar Pine Smokehouse, Full of Bull, Tacos Tijuana, Burrito King, and Black Bear Diner. So with that, I'd like to ask the Madera Historical Society representation to join us up here, as well as my
Public comment on
colleagues.
this? Any public comment from anybody?
Save the clock tower.
I just want to add to this that this is Steve Gardini. He's been on our board with the Historical Society for years and years and years, and he's like our head maintenance problem-solving person within the
He
museum.
worked for us a long time. He's a good man.
Yeah, he worked with the CAL FIRE for many years.
Yep.
But he's instigated and spearheaded all this stuff with the clock. When we've been working on this for probably 5 years, trying to figure out what we were going to do. So he is the reason we are doing this. And this is Ian McCartney, and he is from Michigan, and he is the person in charge of doing the restoration on the clock. Wow. So we really appreciate all. And I have to share, yesterday I picked up lunch and brought it in, and he goes, why are all these people doing this stuff? You know, like all the contributions we've received and all the participation from the community. And I said, we're a small town, and the community supports everything. So we want to thank everybody, but he's been our guy to work on, so we really appreciate it.
Before I come down, you said you live in Michigan? Yes. When you want to move to Madera County, the best place to work, play, and live?
And I would be remiss also if I didn't mention that Steve was also from the illustrious Madera High class of 74. So there you go.
He's a lot younger than you. That goes on the wall.
Oh, really?
Mr. Chairman, I also like to, even though we don't have a certificate for him because he prepared his certificates, I'd like to thank Chief of Staff Nick Salinas for all his great work in helping to coordinate with the Madera.
Who's Chief of Staff is he?
Oh, he's, you know, to the.
Farmer John?
To the county of Madera.
Oh, there you go.
He's the Chief of Staff at large.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, we got to jump to item 7A, because it's a public hearing and it's supposed to start at 10:30, so we're 20 minutes late. So we're going to do 7A now.
7A, hearing to adopt a resolution annexing territory to zone of benefit B within the service area and establishing assessment and fees therefore.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared with Public Works. The item before you is an annexation of the fifth phase of the self-help development in the Parksdale area into zone of benefit B of Service Area 3. The resolution of intent was adopted on May 17th, and the noticing was published and circulated. And we're here today to approve the resolution or request the approval of the resolution to complete that annexation. And I'm available for any questions.
Any comments on that? Finally coming, fruitation, some of that work we're doing out there, so it's so nice. Any public comment? We're going to open up to the public since the board has nothing to say. Anybody from the public have anything on this? You want something?
No, it's prepared to make a motion.
I'm going to close the public comments.
There you go.
And the public hearing.
And the public hearing. First of all, is there anybody online? Okay, I'm sorry. Closing the public comments and public hearing now, and we need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Jared.
One more step forward. Okay, now we'll go to 6F.
6F, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Madera County Hospital in the amount of $1 million for a grant to upgrade the pharmacy facilities through the American Recovery Plan Act for fiscal year 2022 through 2025, and authorize the chairman to sign.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jessica Leone, County Administration, and with me I have Ignacio Magos here. So the item before you is a grant agreement with Madera Community Hospital. It is in the amount of $1 million, and this is being funded with our ARPA, with the county's ARPA allocation. And it is meant to upgrade the pharmacy facility to assist them with that project. This is to allow them and to assist them in becoming a little bit more pandemic resilient. And it will also increase the level of service that they're able to provide to further assist the residents of Madera County. So with that, we are available for any questions.
Any questions from the board? Rob?
I'd just like to say that this hospital is so vital to this community. I mean, that's an understatement. we serve between 100 and 125,000 people in the greater Madera area. And whenever you think about an emergency, you don't think about, hey, let's get in the ambulance and travel to Fresno. You think about going to the closest emergency room, wherever that is, and that's what we've got in Madera, and we've got those critical services that are really necessary for all communities. And so it is just such a vital thing, and I thank everybody for considering this particular item. And I believe that we have Monty Pistoresi here to make a comment as well.
I'll make it when we do the.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to thank when I got COVID in March, I think it was, I just tried to go get an operation. So I called Dr. Paul and asked him what I should do, and he says, get down here to Madera Hospital, we'll take care of you. And they gave me an infusion, and me and my fiance both, and I had been in there for a while. I was in there a couple other times, but I was impressed how clean, nice, all the nurses were great, and they took care of us on a Saturday. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Monty, there's a button there. I know you're loud, but.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I'm a member of the Madera Community Hospital Board of Trustees, and I just wanted to thank the board for doing this. It is very much appreciated by the hospital, very much needed. And like Supervisor Poythress said, we really do appreciate what you're doing for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always, Monty. Okay, any more public comment on this? See, no, it's your pleasure, Rob.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, I'm sorry, I was looking around for everybody.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6G,
6G, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution to continue providing Deputy Assessor's real property Brian Glover with supplemental pay for performance of supplemental duties as acting assessor.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
we have second. Any public comment?
I just wanted to thank the board for this continued
I haven't let you
opportunity.
speak yet.
This
No public
continued
comment.
opportunity.
Fine. We appreciate you so much. So go ahead and
Thank
talk.
you. I was, honored to be able to sign this year's tax roll, which is something that, I don't have an exact number, but probably less than a dozen people in this county have ever been able to do. And I've really appreciated getting a more in-depth look into exactly how the office runs, but I'm also eager to hand it off to
Mr. Frazier.
newly elected Mr. Frazier come January. So thank you for the opportunity again and the ability to continue to serve in this capacity.
Yeah, thank you for all you're doing. You haven't not missed a step, and really appreciate all you've done and the hard work you've taken on. So thank you so much, Brian.
Absolutely. We really appreciate what you've done, and you've earned it. And I guarantee you're going to have somebody that's going to be asking you about 50,000 questions the first day.
That's all right.
40 the next, 30 the next.
We'll be shadowing.
And he's probably already working with you, so I think you guys are going to make a hell of a team. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Sure
Even though
will.
I'll be retired, but I'll still be bugging both of you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? We got the motion? Do we have?
Yes,
No.
we do.
Oh, okay. Roll call.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6H.
6H, presentation and request for comment regarding the California Truth and Values Act.
Well, look at these guys.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I am Darren McMacken, the Assistant Sheriff. I'd like to say Sheriff Pogue is not able to be here today because he is at the services of one of our retired deputies, Mike Thor. And I will now turn over the presentation to Assistant Director Chris Rodriguez.
David. Good morning, members of the board. Chris Rodriguez, Madera Sheriff's Department. I'm going to go over the PowerPoint. Truth Act AB 2792, Assembly Bill 2792, Chapter 768, enacted January 1st of 2017, established a mechanism for inmates to consent to or refuse ICE interviews, established a requirement for notifications to inmates and their attorneys upon receipt of detainers, and a similar notification if ICE is advised of their release. Beginning in January 1 of 2018, required local governing bodies to hold a public hearing regarding providing ICE access to individuals. The Truth Act, Truth Act AB 2792, ICE access means all the following: responding to ICE holds, notifications or transfers, providing notifications to ICE in advance of the public that an individual is being or will be released at certain dates and times through data sharing otherwise, providing ICE non-publicly available information regarding release date, home address, work address, whether through computer database, jail logs, or otherwise, allowing ICE to interview an individual, providing ICE information regarding dates and times of probation or parole. The Values Act, SB 54, Senate Bill 54, enacted January 1 of 2018, built upon the Truth Act by prohibiting law enforcement cooperation with ICE except under limited circumstances, greatly limited ICE access to jails, and prohibited exclusive ICE office space within the law enforcement facility, established a list of qualifying criminal offenses that allows for limited access to ICE. The Madera Sheriff's Office may only respond to ICE requests under the following criteria: the individual has been convicted of a serious or violent felony, the individual has been convicted of a felony punishable by imprisonment to a state prison, the individual is currently a registrant of California Sex or Arson Registry, the individual is arrested for a serious or violent felony, and after a preliminary hearing, the magistrate has determined that there is probable cause to hold the individual to answer for his crime. The individual has been convicted within 5 years of a wobbler misdemeanor.
What's a wobbler?
It could be either or a misdemeanor or a felony. So in the penal code, it's called a wobbler. The judge determines what direction that goes.
So it's not drunk in public?
No. So I have 2020 overview. We had 4,187 bookings. Detainers we received from immigration was 84. Released inmates to ICE was 0. In 2021, we have data. It says we had 4,417 bookings. We received 23 detainers, and 2 inmates were released to ICE, and obviously they met their criteria. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very much. That's, we're just going by the law, and that's what the law says we do, and that's how we do it. We don't go any beyond or less. So.
Yes, sir.
And I really appreciate how you guys have handled this ever since we had those hearings a couple of years ago that everybody was accusing us of everything in the world. So any comments from the other board members?
Appreciate what you do to keep us safe.
Yeah. Bottom line.
In a changing environment, it's hard to keep the public safe in a changing environment where seemingly legislators pass laws that are basically against the public and against the enforcement of law enforcement officers. And we appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the ongoing support.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Seeing none, so this is not you just wanted to comment, so I think we gave you the comments to keep up the great work. That's the bottom line. Thank you, guys. 6I.
2022 Measure T Renewal Reinvestment Plan and Implementing Guidelines for Extension of Measure T.
Bear with me 1 second.
Your second's over.
All right. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared Carter with Public Works. The item before you today is regarding the renewal of the Measure T transportation sales tax. In the board item in the staff report, you'll see there's a little bit of history on transportation sales tax in the county. We had prior Measure A that was successful in delivering a significant amount of projects, and then Measure T was voted in 2006 by the voters, and half-cent transportation sales tax, which has helped tremendously over the last few years to deliver projects. And just a little bit about our network, our transportation network. So as you recall, we did a pavement analysis or evaluation back in 2018, 2019, valued our network at over $700 million. So our transportation network is the largest asset that this county owns. 85% of roads in the state are local network roads. So majority of the roads belong to local agencies who have to own and maintain those facilities. And of course, the network serves our residents, our businesses, as well as our emergency services and all those that visit and come through our county. In 2020, just to give you a sense of how much we put into these networks and what it takes. In 2020, we had about a little over 1,000 service requests for public works. 68% of those were for road maintenance. And in 2021, we had about 1,100 service requests. 67% of those were for road maintenance. So overwhelming majority of the requests that we get for service are related to road network issues. So the investment we have here is something that we need to protect. And Measure T certainly plays a huge part in that. So the renewal of Measure T and the item before you is for approval of the the investment plan, as well as the implementing guidelines for the extension of Measure T beyond expiration in 2026. So I'm going to go through the presentation here quickly, and then we'll be available for questions. So as part of the process for the renewal, there was a steering committee created with multiple representatives from businesses and community groups throughout the county. You can see there that we met 13 times and talked about the specifics of Measure T and how that process and the plan would move forward. And all of the input gathered during those meetings went into developing these implementing guidelines as well as the investment plan. You can see the responsibilities there of the committee as far as their input and role in developing these. One of the key ones there, provide information and feedback to other stakeholders and community leaders. We had, as I mentioned, multiple agencies and businesses and folks who were representing large groups of people throughout the county and providing feedback and input with the process. Some of the guiding principles that were established for the committee, you can see there, I'm not going to read through all of them, but obviously, as I mentioned, repairing the maintenance of streets and roads. Our existing network was a primary factor in looking at what the measure would be used for, as well as transit and other needs throughout the communities. Some of the highlights that were developed as this process and for the investment implementation guidelines is the duration of this measure. So the current Measure T is a 20-year measure from 2006 to 2026. And the proposed duration for the extension measure would be until ended by voters. There was public review of both plans. In fact, the draft plans for the investment plan and the implementing guidelines are out for public review. And there was also several opportunities for the public to comment and give input to the process. And we'll go through some of those here specifically. You can see here some of the strategies that were used in engaging the public, included stakeholder presentations, public meetings. There were virtual meetings, social media surveys that were taken, and mailers that went out to residents to get feedback and input. One of the key strategies and tools used was a poll that was done by a consultant for the Transportation Authority, which provided great feedback and input into what people wanted to see in the plan and what the priorities were. So you can see there's some of the strategies and the methods that they use to outreach to the community. And overall, the margin of error in their results was about 4.1%, which is pretty low. So in that process, there was some initial ballot language that was presented to folks who were participating. And you can see there that essentially it was worded in a way that it would be shown on a ballot for folks to consider. The one key thing I would point out is that there are two different things there in the red brackets for the duration, until ended by voters or for 30 years. And so both of those were presented to the public and those participating to present, or excuse me, to have input on in terms of what the duration of the measure would be. And so the results of those polls, you can see on the left is the results for the until ended by voters, and on the right is the 30-year duration. So 76% in support for until ended by voters, and then 77% for a 30-year duration, which is essentially consistent and very close. Overwhelmingly, it does show that folks support Measure T and believe it is a good program to continue. Some of the specific things that were asked during the polls as far as what folks wanted to see and their priorities, you can see here that there are several different topics. Of course, the very top one at 88% is the maintenance of the local streets and roads, which, as I mentioned, 68% of our requests that come into our department are for maintenance and repair of roads. You also have several other topics there, including traffic congestion, which is towards the bottom. But yeah, overwhelmingly, the responses show that folks want to see the roads improved. And I'm sure that you all get plenty of calls and have plenty of discussions with folks about the same issue. So there was also some information on specific projects that might be done with Measure T in terms of like capital or regional type projects. And again, you could see a list of several different specific areas or types of improvements. But I would point out again at the top of the list is maintaining the local streets and roads. And then very next line would be fixing potholes. Again, here's some Tier 2 projects that were shown to the public and feedback given in terms of priority or those that they're in favor of. So obviously with the polling and the information that was gathered, there's no doubt that the greatest need for throughout the county from the public is improvements or maintaining the existing roadways for our network. And as I mentioned, it is a valuable asset, and it makes sense to invest the money into something that you want to keep and maintain. So some projections of the revenues for the new Measure T. As I mentioned, the proposed duration would be until ended by voters, but in terms of trying to analyze what kind of revenue would come in, it was looked at 30-year period. It's estimated it would generate about $866 million over that period. And it's important to point out that the way that the plan is put together as it sits today would allow for revisiting of the priorities for the plan every 15 years. And in the event that there's changes or priorities and things change, like maybe we get our PCI to a 75 and we can not have to worry so much about our roads. But nonetheless, it does give an opportunity for us to change that and revisit those things throughout the duration of the measure. So one of the questions, why until ended by voters, why was that chosen? Well, there's a lot of different things, and you can see them all there. I think one of the biggest things is there's strong support for the measure based on the polling that's happened now. As you saw, it was 76, 77%. It's clear that folks need this investment and want this investment into the transportation network, and the ability to, the ability to bond and go after other money with a measure that has that until ended by voters is something that significantly will benefit the county, because we can start doing things now as opposed to having to wait. So the needs assessment for what the measure would cover, obviously there's several things there. Again, you can see their local agency payment condition surveys. All the agencies were we did provide information to the group in terms of payment conditions for our various networks. And as I mentioned, the county did, with the support of your board, we did complete that report in 2019, which identified our payment condition as a 45 out of 100, 44 out of 100, which is well below, almost 20 points below the statewide average. That report also pointed out that in order to maintain that 44, PCI of 44, we would require about $16.5 million a year, which we're short by about almost $10 million a year right now on that. So, and then to improve just to the statewide average, we would require about almost $32 million a year. So, again, the need for maintaining our network and investing in that asset of the county is tremendous, not only because it's something we should do, but it's also a huge benefit to the public. So some of the allocation principles you can see in there related to the investment plan. One thing I would point out on here is the flexibility. The allocations in this program, the measure moving forward, are different than what they are now, and I think that flexibility is something that is much more available in the new proposed measure. That was something that we heard a lot about from especially the local agencies in terms of the ability to be able to do the things and put it where we need to put it based on the public's input. So there's the allocations, proposed allocations for Measure T, the renewal and the extension. And one thing I would just, I'm going to go to the next slide here. It's still on here, but this compares the new measure, or the extension of the measure, to the 2006 measure. And so some of the key highlights there, current measure allocates about 47% to road repair and rehab, and that's made up by the regional rehab, the street maintenance, and the supplemental county maintenance district pieces there on the right. And in the proposed extension, that amount is going up to 63%. And so that's represented by your community neighborhood streets and roads, your local flexibility, and then also your local neighborhood street maintenance. So the idea was to align this with what, the polls and what we're hearing from the public in terms of, the need and the desire to maintain existing roads. So I think that's going to be huge for us moving forward, is the ability to use those funds to actually put into those, and the flexibility subprogram especially was something that was talked a lot about, because I think it's important that the agencies have the ability to do that and put that money where they need for those various programs. So in terms of dollars over the 30-year projection, you can see there the county estimated about just under 50% of the revenues would come to the county based on population, current population at this time. And so you can see some of the numbers there, but again, that community and neighborhood streets and roads, 267 million. is a significant amount of money that can go a long ways. And I would point out that, as with many other programs, and even our gas tax road money, we make every effort to leverage other funds. That's a huge piece of making this work, right? We have the Avenue 26 project out there east of Chowchilla that's ongoing right now. That project was leveraged with Measure T. I think it's a $22 million, $23 million project that I believe we're putting in about 10% of that from our measure, and the rest of it's coming from the feds. Oakhurst, the Midtown Connector project, River Parkway Road, that was another one where we were able to leverage SB1 dollars and get $5 million from the state to go towards that project. And I would just point out that SB1 money, specifically SB1, is not available. Those competitive funds are not available to counties who don't have a self-help tax like Measure T. So it does open doors for us to be able to do a lot more with this money as well as leverage other funds. Some of the projects on the phase 1 list that was developed for the first 15 years of the measure, and this would be the regional funding pot. You can see on there that for the county, primarily we're focused on Avenue 12 and trying to improve that corridor. It is, the first or second, depending on which day, first or second largest, heavily traveled route in the county. And you'll notice that identifies other funding potentially available. And the goal, again, is for us to use Measure T to leverage other funds. And so a lot of that on the Avenue 12 corridor would be development-related funds that would go towards those projects. And then we also have in there the mountain area evacuation routes, and both looking at studying those routes and evacuation routes, as well as doing construction or improving routes that are identified. So one of the factors that was discussed in the committee was the No Neighborhood Left Behind principle, and the idea is that we're trying to make sure that we're spreading the wealth here and following the plan and listening and going after other funds to accelerate things. As well as, as you all know, the costs right now are extremely expensive and they keep going up. So as I mentioned before, the ability to bond and go ahead of time and get things done sooner rather than later are going to save us money in the long run.
Very important.
So the extension is proposed to be put on the 2022 ballot in November, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. Some of the highlighted ones you see there, as you saw, the polling is showing that there's good support for it. As we talked about, or as I mentioned, bonding and to borrow against future revenues. And then also, again, very loud and clear, we've heard from the public in input and feedback that folks want to get the roads fixed. And so now's the time to start making that happen. It also gives
66% vote.
Excuse me?
Is it 66% vote or 50?
2/3, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things also I would just point out getting it on the ballot this year and getting it in place is because it allows the local agencies to plan ahead. We talk a lot about what's the future look like and how do we plan ahead. And, you got to know what you got to spend and how you can use that money in order to be able to do that. So having that assurance that Measure T will extend and beyond 2026 would go, a long way to being able to look at future projects and treatments and strategies for our network. So as far as next steps, you can see there that the draft plans have been circulated. They're out for public review. The county today is bringing this item for approval and support by the board of the investment plan and the implementing guidelines, as well as designating MCTC, our Transportation Commission, to continue to serve as the Transportation Authority, which they sit now for the current Measure T. And then on July 20th, the item will be presented to the MCTC, MCTA board for approval, and then pending the decision there, would come back to this board for consideration to put on the November ballot. So in conclusion, again, the priority and the way that this implementing plan and the investment plan is put together based on the needs and the desires of the community and the feedback that was heard is focused on the number one priority, which is street and road maintenance, and the investment of $866 million. And again, that's just the measure of money. That doesn't count all the money that we can leverage to go with that through the various programs. But as I mentioned, we have a tough job in Public Works because we have a lot of people who want a lot of things, and it costs a lot of money. And being able to have something like Measure T to look at and use in our strategies is a huge benefit. I just can't express how much having that in place and being able to look at that as a potential component to a project, or giving us the ability to go after other funds that require that local match. It's a significant thing. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to, number one, thank Jared and his team for this presentation and your hard work in this particular effort. Supervisor Frazier and I had the great honor of acting as co-chairs of the steering committee, the Measure T Renewal Steering Committee. We had wonderful effort, great outreach, and many members of the county, all over the county participating, and we sure appreciate everybody's hard work and participation and input. It was a great, I think, robust in terms of discussion, and things were actually moved around and changed, and numbers and so forth based on input. So it was definitely something that the community organized. I'd like to remind everybody that this is what's known as a self-help county. There are 58 counties in the state of California. 25 of those are self-help counties, and the other 33 wish they were self-help counties. They are just counties that cannot pass the measure for whatever reason. It's one of these things, as Jared pointed out, it helps us to leverage other projects. I think it's maybe lost on some people that Measure T is not about projects with just Measure T money. It's not like we have Measure T and we have this list of projects that are going to be funded strictly by Measure T. We have projects with the city of Chowchilla. We have projects with the city of Madera. We have projects with the county of Madera. And these are simply funds that are going to help us enact those road projects and so forth. So again, when we look at Measure T, it is not about projects within Measure T. Again, and so when people are seeking input and having requests, it's more about interacting with those jurisdictions, whether they be, again, the two cities or the county, to make things happen. But again, those projects within those jurisdictions would have a hard time getting funded without Measure T. Right. And we would be doing a tremendous disservice to all of our residents by not moving forward. We've had a measure now since 1990. And they've been very successful. One of the main problems we have here is even with Measure T, we still get underfunded from different sources. But again, without it, we would really be in a tough spot. I'd like to also point out that this effort has been led by the Madera County Transportation Commission, and in our audience today, many of you know our team at MCTC, and many of you and many of us have served on the board, but we have Tricia Taylor, our executive director. Tricia is in her 29th year with MCTC, and she did start when she was 16, so that explains a lot. Yeah, exactly. But it was, so this November she'll be celebrating her 29th anniversary with MCTC, and with her is Troy McNeil. And Tricia has not only worked with, pretty much her whole career has been working with measures, helped implement Measure A, and then helped lead the charge with the initial Measure T back in '06. So we want to thank her and her team and everybody that helped put this together and get us to this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Mr. Rogers.
Thank Jared and also thank Tricia and her team. And this is one of the more successful taxes that's ever been implemented, and it just really has helped our community a lot. I know there are projects that we couldn't have done, and I'm not talking about new things that we were hoping to do. I'm talking about maintaining what we have and the flexibility to do so. And there would be entire communities right now that would be unpaved if it weren't for Measure T. We would be driving on dirt essentially in some of those areas. And I kid you not. I kid you not. It just that serious.
I know it is.
And $2 billion worth of need in this community, and Measure T helps us just do a little bit of that. And without it, we wouldn't even have that little bit. So when we talk about doing roads, often the discussion goes right straight to the arteries, just maintaining the arteries, because I have thousands of miles, almost thousands in District 2 now, isn't it? Pretty close to 1,000. It's right up there in District 2, and the largest road mileage of any district. And what we have to do is focus in on those arteries that get us places, and this helps us do that. Without it, we'd be stuck. So I'm grateful to the committee and to Jared and everybody working on this. We've got to have Measure T. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Frazier.
I'd like to thank the subcommittee and for putting up with Rob and I. We were always trying to battle to see who can shave off 1 minute here or there, but
I think you won that battle.
Yeah. But there was community groups from over 40 different segments, including cities, and you saw it in here. But to get that many people, it just shows how important the issue was. And I'd get text messages after some people weren't happy with exactly where it was, but in a group of 40 to be able to come up with a plan to how to, from all segments of the community, I just think was very important. We got to some consensus, and we weren't always happy with exactly how it shook out, but it was a broad range of different communities and from all different areas of here, across socioeconomic, everywhere. So I just wanted to thank the steering committee for all the hard work, and it was a lot of time that was put into it. I mean, it was 2 to 3 hours each time in the middle of the week. So just want to thank all of them personally for all the hard work they put in and all the input that they gave.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank all the team that's been working on this, and I really, really like the idea of doing it now, because even talking to Jared and Troy and Patricia, when you start doing these projects, it's like the crosstown connection. it was 7 years before we got it done, or started, I mean. And so it don't happen. So if you wait to 24, and we've got to do a project in even 2030 or 20, whatever that is, you can't plan for that if you don't know you're going to have the money. How do you do that? I mean, it'd be really a booger. And one thing I got a few questions. On page 7, how many did you call? It says 572 district voters. How many of them did you call? Or was that the number you called?
500.
You guys know, Troy?
I think that was the sample size.
Do you know how many offhand? If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay, no, it's okay. I just like to have that number too. We had that 5, whatever it is, response, so that's cool. That's quite a few. So, and on page 8, Rob took my thunder. I was going to talk about that. I think we got to keep pounding about the self-help counties. I talk about that all the time when I talk to these people, because we are one of the 25 that have it. I didn't know what the number was. I've been saying in the 20s, but now I know it. Thank you, Rob. And I think we need to have that in the flyers. I got the flyer in the mail, because just like getting those SB $1 for that $5 million for that crosstown connection, I don't know if we could have even afforded to do that project if we wouldn't have had that self-help dollars and the tax. I mean, we probably couldn't have done it. And so I think we really got to preach that to people, I think. And then on page 11, you got all those projects, but you don't have that crosstown connection or the roundabout in there. Did we get any money from SB1 or from Measure T for the roundabout?
No.
It's on page 11.
Excuse me. Yeah, slide number 11.
Yeah.
You're talking about? Yeah, so I believe these are proposed projects that were looked at in the polling to the communities as far as what they would like to see.
Well, then we should have maybe some kind of a list of projects we've got done. I think that's important to people.
Sure.
Know that.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that? Or? Let's see.
Oh, yeah. If you look at like MD 22 alone, 30 miles of roads wouldn't be paved in MD 22 without that. Or 21. Is it MD
Yes, 21.
21.
Yeah.
I get those two missed up. MD 21.
And there's no page number on this one. It's the 30-year revenue projections. That investment plan will be revisited at least every 15 years. I think we better make that a little shorter, maybe 10, because we got a big problem coming up, electric cars. And so when we start getting taxes for gas, it's a big hit. So I don't know if we should make that 10 years or not. I don't know. That's up to you guys. But I know the Air Board talks about it all the time, what we're going to do when that money quits coming. And then on allocation principles, the second one is flexibility. I think that's really good. And add on there self-help county. I think, that's what I got here. You got 10 routes in Norfolk. That's just projects we got planning. That's good, because when I talk to people, I love that page. I'm going to take that with me. Oh, and then on the next page, I'm sorry, no neighborhood left behind. Delivering projects faster, lower costs, and quicker user benefits. I think that's really important that we preach that to these people when we're talking to them. Thank you, Patricia. Oh, I'm sorry, one more page. It's the next Measure T3, next steps on the meetings. You got June and July and all that. So you had a meeting last week with City of Madera. Did they pass it? Mm-hmm.
Unanimously.
Huh? Unanimously? Great. Thank you. Okay.
Clarification on one of your questions related to the 15-year. What we did is we provided an estimate of a 30-year estimate, and then in our implementing guidelines, we have committed to go back every 15 years to reevaluate the program starting in year 14. It can be amended sooner than that. So if something does surface that we missed, we can amend it during that time if it's brought to our attention.
Thank you for the great job all of you guys do, and the board and that committee. Thank you and Rob. We all appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna,
I just wanted to, I didn't put my name. There you go.
you want to say something?
Yeah.
You waited too
And
long?
my name's Letty.
Oh, it's up there now. Okay, Supervisor Letty.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank the staff at MCTC and our staff and everyone who's participated. I was able to receive this presentation at the last MCTC meeting because I was the alternate attending, and so it was great information, and I can't tell you how vital these funds are. So looking at the future is so important, and so I would request and almost beg everyone to get on board and to help promote the passage of Measure T, because it's vital, and if we don't do this later on down the line, we will definitely regret it. So thank you very much.
Okay. Now then, we'll open it up to the public, and I'm going to start with the WebEx comment from Leanne, so that if we have any hiccups, we can do her later, so if that's okay with everybody in the public. What do we got? We got her?
Go ahead, Leanne.
Huh? Can you hear us, Leanne? Leanne?
I don't see her
I don't either.
icon.
It's not coming up on there.
Is she even on?
Leanne, do you still want to speak?
What you say?
She's saying it's not working again. Just one moment.
So you guys handle that, and we'll let the public come up top. Madeline, you want to do first?
Good morning, Supervisors. Madeline Harris from Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. I just want to point out before I start my comments how there are a lot of residents from Lavinia who wanted to come today to this meeting to give comments on their concerns about the Measure T renewal plan, but because of work conflicts, since this meeting is during the day, and because of transportation limitations, they were not able to come. So Leanne will be reading some people's comments, but I wanted to also provide some comments. As many of you know, we're very concerned with the lack of public process on this renewal effort. The steering committee was recruited by staff and elected officials without any public process. There wasn't interpretation provided for the first half of the meetings. And the meetings were only via Zoom during the workday. And I also want to be clear that polling is not community engagement. The vision that we have for renewing Measure T would be to do in-person public forums in the evening, in communities, meeting people where they're at, getting feedback about the transportation needs that are unmet in communities across the county, and then taking that feedback to create the measure. And we don't feel that that was done with this process. I also want to note that the public has not been adequately informed about the consequences of a forever tax. The polling language said until ended by voters, but many voters might not know what it takes to end a measure. So that needs to be done in order for people to be able to vote yes or no on a forever tax. I also want to note that throughout the steering committee meetings, one of the questions that we raised that Madera County was unable to answer is when was the last time that Measure T funding was utilized in the community of Fairmead? That is something that we were not able to receive an answer for. And in fact, when we look at the past 5 or so years of Measure T funded projects, we see that geographically distributed across the county. There are a lot of projects in the foothills, there are a lot of projects in the southeastern growth area, but we didn't see projects in Lavinia and Fairmead where folks have been asking for transportation needs like sidewalks, street lighting, better access to public transit, road repairs, and so on and so forth for years. The bus only comes to La Viña twice a week, so it's pretty much unusable. And every year during the unmet transit needs at MCTC, folks raise a long list of unmet transit needs that then we're told are unreasonable to meet because there isn't enough funding for those things. So now it's frustrating to see that in the investment plan, there's only 4% being allocated for public transit when we know that that's nowhere near the need. And then I also want to note that with regards to the list of projects for the regional projects for the first 15 years, we have a couple concerns about that as well. A lot of these are capacity expanding projects that would facilitate sprawl and industrial development. We don't see disadvantaged unincorporated communities anywhere on that list. And because this is a list of projects that the measure is essentially committing to, for that reason, it needs to undergo CEQA. So I'll wrap up my comments there. I have a lot more to say, but I also submitted a letter that you can review. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Rosina Bueno. Ya tenemos años pidiendo que intervengan en las necesidades de nuestra comunidad. Nosotros pagamos impuestos tal como otros residentes, pero tenemos 5 años esperando las banquetas, el alumbrado, el transporte público, arreglos en las calles y el internet que prometieron y nos sentimos abandonados por el condado. Queremos hechos, no promesas. El dinero es la medida que se gasta en otras comunidades, pero igual hemos estado pagando los impuestos y no intervienen en nuestras comunidades. No estamos de acuerdo con este impuesto. Hemos hablado entre nosotros en nuestra comunidad y nadie estamos de acuerdo. Nos sentimos discriminados. Gracias.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
We
Can you get real closer to the microphone so we can make sure we can hear you?
We have been asking for years to invest in the needs of our community. We pay our taxes just like the other residents, but we have 5 years waiting for the sidewalks, the lighting, the public transport, fixing the streets and the internet that you promised us. We feel abandoned by the county. We want acts, not promises. The money from Measure T is being spent on other communities, but we have been paying those taxes as well. If it's not invested in our community, we are not in agreement with this tax. We have been talking among us in our community, and no one is in agreement, and so we feel discriminated.
Good morning again. I'm Barbara Nelson from Fairmead Community and Friends. And I heard that you were talking or showing that no community will be left behind. Well, we're over 100 years old, and we've been before you before, still asking the same thing concerning our streets, sidewalks, lights, again, in front of the school, where it's a danger to our kids. So we're here again, hoping that you would think about the people in our community and help us. You know, I know on 1241, they're building and doing a lot there. People got more money there. But we're a little community, people of color, disadvantaged. But I wish you would just hear us sometime and do something in our community. You know, we deserve some of the crumbs because we do pay taxes too. And we work hard in our community. So I'll appreciate it if you would do something to help us sometime. Thank you.
Yeah, Barbara, just, you know, when there's on 41 or stuff like that, that's all, most of that does not come out of any of this. It's those developers and the state who know, so I don't get that mixed up with these because it's really important that everybody knows that.
Well,
So
wherever
thank you
the
for the
funds
comments, we
is,
appreciate it.
Manager T, we need some in Fairmead and there's other towns like us. Thank you.
Next. Okay, is Leanne online?
Leanne, are you able to hear us? Okay, give her.
She can or can't?
Go ahead, Leanne. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
So I'll be speaking on behalf of two residents. The first one's Esther Cuevas in Lavina, and she says Madera County should address the needs of our existing communities first, if you want to vote. In Lavina, we need sidewalks that are accessible for people who use wheelchairs and street lighting so that you can see at night. Because of the lack of street lights contributes to the crime in our community. If you want to vote, you should concern yourselves with existing communities like ours first. I do not agree with renewing Measure T as a permanent tax, because you have already not followed through on the commitments that you have made to our community. And if we pass this measure permanently, we won't have a chance to vote on it again. Madera County should follow on what we promised to our community. We have been waiting for a long time while the county has been saying that you will implement a mobility study, and you are starting to lose the trust of our community that you deserve our vote. Additionally, the county should explain clearly what you plan to do with the funding you received under ARPA and use it to meet the needs of our communities. Because here in our community, we have been waiting for a long time, and you should implement these funds in our community if you want to maintain a positive relationship with our community. And then the second one will be Lourdes Castillo, and she's also a Lavina resident. And she says, in Lavina, we've been asking for a long time that you help our community, and you still have not helped us. We go to the community meetings and many of your board meetings, and you are not listening to us. We have been asking for improvements in our community for many years, and do not feel heard. We hope that this time you'll hear us out because we have many needs in Lavina, and we see that between Measure T and ARPA and other funds, the money is there, but it is not being used in our community. Thank you so much.
Okay. So is it too late to go to have a meeting in the evening or on a Saturday with Lavina and Fairmead? Could we do that?
I believe it is.
To be able to get it on, so in the outreach portion, there will continue to be that outreach
that's right, yeah.
through the campaign, but to be able to get it on to the, we're on a very tight.
No, not for that
yeah.
schedule. I mean, just so we could go out and explain it to them. I didn't mean.
What-
Oh, yeah.
I believe
that's
Supervisor Rogers, he's got a handle on, that's in his district, so he can work with,
Right.
with MCTC and in the education part of.
I'd be happy to go back out there as well.
Yeah, so that'd be really good. If you could do that, Dave, that'd be really good, so. Okay?
We have one more online.
Oh, okay.
Public comment.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Carla Martinez with Leadership Council, but I will also be making comments on behalf of somebody else who could not make it here today. Hi, my name is Jose Fuentes. My address is 960 Naval Avenue in the 93637 zip code. I would like to comment on the Measure T renewal draft plan because I am very concerned about the lack of public engagement on this transportation sales tax renewal effort. Young people that I and my colleague work with at Madera High School and Madera South High School in Madera County have raised that they have several transportation needs in their communities that are currently going unaddressed, including in our rural communities. The outlying areas such as Madera Acres, areas around Raymond Road and Avenue 18. Not only were young people in our communities not consulted about where they and their family sales tax dollars will be spent, but this plan would direct millions of taxpayer dollars to projects that would make the air quality worse and worsen public health. This forever tax proposal would also rob young people of their voting power by locking in an investment plan now that future generations won't get the opportunity to vote on again. This is not fair to young people in Madera County. That's why I am urging the Board of Supervisors to vote no and not to proceed with this transportation forever tax as proposed. Instead, we should start the process over and do it right by engaging directly Madera County residents through public forums, in-person workshops located in communities across the county, providing language access at these meetings, and by actually taking the feedback you hear from young people, their families, and communities, and implementing that feedback into a community-driven plan for 2024. I ask that you stop rushing this forever tax to the ballot and instead work with us on a community-driven measure for 2024.
What was her name? Did you get it?
Carla Martinez.
Connie?
Carla Martinez.
Okay, any other online? See any more out in the public? Okay, I'm going to close the public part of this and bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
I move to adopt a resolution approving the Measure T renewal investment plan and implementation guides designating the Madera County 2008 Transportation Authority
For the
throughout 2006.
forever part? Okay, perfect. Got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, 6J real quick. We got about 5 minutes. Can we do it,
Presentation,
Stephanie?
presentation and update of the acquisition of the final stream bed alterations agreement with the California
Yay.
Department of Fish and Wildlife.
About time.
So we do have some good news, and I'll talk fast. I have PowerPoint, but I will go fast.
You always do, so no problem. Thank you all for coming very much. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Coming up. I got mine in front of me.
Yep, it's showing up here, so if we could project it, that would be great. So Stephanie and Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources, talking to you today on behalf of the Flood Control and Water Conservation Agency. As you know, there's really 3 issues with flood. One is our funding is taken by the state and given to schools, so we have some funding challenges. The second challenge is there's not a lot of coordination between state agencies that do flood and state agencies that do SGMA. So we have someone, Sam Cunningham from our department, who serves on a statewide coordinating agreement on that. And then the third issue is that in order to do the work, we need a permit called, an agreement called a 1602. So here's the Fish and Game Code that requires this basically anywhere in the county. If you want to get into the stream and do anything that's taking trash out, removing any deposits or vegetation, you need this sort of agreement with California Fish and Game, and it's required in their code. So we received a final agreement in April. They then had to file a notice of exemption for CEQA in May. We are allowed to do maintenance, vegetation removal, starting August to May of each year. We're focused also vegetation, arundo, the stuff that looks like bamboo, and trash. There's a 5-year term to the agreement. It covers these channels from north to south. We're talking Chowchilla River, Ash Slough, Brenda Slough, Dry Creek, and the Fresno River. So we do have some requirements in there. It is more strict than you might expect. This includes pre-activity surveys where we send a biologist out to look for very specific species. We then have to file something called a verification request form, and then we go in. So as you know, we are the local maintaining agency in the state plan of flood control, and we've been penalized a lot for vegetation, over vegetation, and this will allow us to eventually regain PL 8499, which is the public law that makes us eligible for flood funds. So
This is a big step forward. It is not really a true permit, although I occasionally slip and call it that. It's actually an agreement or a contract. It doesn't cover everything in the county. It just covers those streams that I showed on the map. It doesn't cover foothill activity. Jeannie is applying for a separate grant for the Oakhurst River Parkway and doing vegetation removal there as well, which is quite needed. So questions we've heard, can we start right away? There is a summer work prohibition, and we need to have a biologist with a contract with us, but we can begin in the fall. You'll see that contract with Live Oak biologists come to you in 2 weeks. Can we use this for something other than vegetation removal? No, it's vegetation and trash. And this is only projects that we're leading. So a couple next steps. We're going to make an FAQ sheet. I know you get a lot of questions about why there's vegetation, why aren't you doing more? And we know the city was able to do some emergency work there. This is the contractor agreement for routine maintenance. So we can do an FAQ sheet for sharing with residents. You'll see that contract with the biologist in 2 weeks. We're prioritizing areas, and we've been meeting with agencies who could potentially do the work. So our budget issue does not allow us, unless we have a grant, to do the work. So we have to form partnerships. Chowchilla Water District has had an interest. We've met with River Partners, which is an NGO, which may be able to help. So we're forming those alliances, which will probably be formalized in contracts or MOUs. That concludes my presentation.
Any questions? Yeah, Rob, I'm sorry I didn't see it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's really a great thing, and you kind of mentioned it in next steps or alluded to it, but you mentioned grants. Yeah, it's called the dollar sign. I think we get like, what, $200,000 a year to take care of all of the vegetation removal, and I know that there's been a lot of accolades for the cleanup that's been done in the Fresno River. But you know, that money wouldn't go very far for our efforts in terms of extending it one way or another, or any of the other waterways in our county. So I think that, yeah, the cooperation with the cities, irrigation water districts, NGOs, farmers, et cetera, in fact, we talked about one the other day, it's going to be crucial. So thank you.
Any, yeah, Rogers.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for pressing forward on this. And as I alluded to in, I think our meeting before last, the connection between this and so many issues. And this has to happen. I mean, we have to get rid of that vegetation. It's not a natural thing when you consider that a lot of that was introduced by the Corps of Engineers back whenever. And for stabilization, now it's become a huge problem in terms of the capacity of those canals, and it never becomes more evident than when you have an actual flood event, how serious that really is. And, you know, and of course the connection to homeless habitat. I think it's going to be a good thing to get the green machine in there and go, and get some of these organizations that can help us out, like CWD and MID and whoever else wants to partner with us.
Thank you. We're running short on time. Any public comment on this? Any online? Thank you very much. Any pending legislation? Seeing none. Thank you, Stephanie, so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Any supervised reports?
None.
I've got my coffee and conversation on the 20th at 8:30, Rancho's Library on Zoom.
Thank you.
I want to thank the interpreters that were here today to provide those services. I'm going to put it on the record. I still think that
Real quick and take off.
the county needs to have a full-time interpreter on staff. That's my pitch for that. And then I want to thank the Public Works Department. They've been doing some pavement work over at on Avenue 13.5. It looks great. It's been a little bit of a pain for the residents out there, but they've been very patient with us, and it looks beautiful. So thank you to all the people working on that. And then I just wanted to thank everyone that participated in we had a big meeting last night regarding SURF, which is the Community Economic Resilience Funds. We're kind of on a short time frame to participate, but hopefully if we get everyone to cooperate and to participate, it means a lot of money for long-term planning here in Madera County. And so I want to thank, there was about 40, 45 people. Supervisor Poitras was there last night. And so I think it went well. So hopefully we'll try for that. So thank you.
Mr. Rob?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Joe?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Nothing for your wife either? I just want to make sure. I want to see who's getting the best, PR around here.
No report, Chair. Thank you.
Karen?
Nothing to report, thanks.
Smiley?
No, thank you.
We're adjourned, and that lunch is now, right, Rob?
Yes.
So let's do
Yes.
I got a phone call for the Inyo National Park Superintendent at 2 o'clock. So let's do our agenda. Well, Joe? One? That's what I was thinking about, one, maybe a little before. Is that okay? Is that too soon? About one?
Agenda review at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay? Okay, Joe? 1 o'clock for the agenda review? Okay. Thank you, everybody, very much. Great meeting.